You truly are incorruptible, aren't you?
Batman doesn't kill. I'm firmly in the camp that in any scripted media, whether it be film, TV or comic books, the Caped Crusader should adhere to his one rule. Unless we're telling an Elseworld story, or the no-kill rule is explored with some neat ambiguity, a la The Killing Joke, I don't ever want to experience a Batman script where he goes around punishing criminals to the point of death. Certain superheroes do kill, and I'm fine with that, but Batman isn't one of them. Batman is such an inspiring character because he touches darkness but never lets it consume him. Canonically, anyway. He instigates fear, he has a terrifying look, and he has no qualms beating supervillains to a pulp, but he has a line. He has strong principles and a code which he cannot break. The best Batman movie of all time, still The Dark Knight, wrestles with that code and how the Joker tries his hardest to corrupt him and break it.
Oh, then that's the rule you'll have to break to know the truth.
Does it bother me that Keaton straight up murders? Of course, but I also understand that this was a much earlier superhero adaptation, in the same way I can forgive the earliest X-Men movies for giving us black leather. Killing is far more egregious in adaptations like the Snyderverse, especially when you're trying to make a point about Batman choosing not to kill Superman. I think making that choice and then machine gunning a bunch of criminals in the Batwing 10 minutes later undercuts that, but that's just me. However, there's always an exception that proves the rule. There is one time, the only time, when Batman can kill, and it would still be a perfect Batman adaptation. Nay, not only is it the one time he can kill, it is a time when I openly welcome it. In fact, he must be able to kill for this to work. In this paradigm, Batman's ability to kill enhances the strength of the adaptation rather than hindering it. So what is that exception?
You must show you are willing to take a life to save the world.
But before I get into all that, I want to say a quick word from my latest sponsor, Babbel. There's lots of reasons to learn a new language. It's a great way to get your brain in gear, it's fun, and it leaves you with long-term practical skills. It would also certainly save you a few embarrassing moments on holiday. If you want to get started, then Babbel is the language app for you. In my final year of Spanish at school, we didn't have a full-time teacher, so the teaching assistant instead stuck on Benidorm. I wish I was joking. Whilst I might not have learnt an ounce of Spanish and had no grounds to continue it at a higher level, I certainly gained an encyclopedic knowledge of an ITV comedy. And the school wondered why it was in special measures at the time. Babbel's lessons, on the other hand, are designed by real language teachers and scientifically proven to get you speaking in just 3 weeks. It's one thing to regurgitate learnt words, but Babbel seeks to build your ability to hold conversations and understand the intricacies of any given language. So whether it's for work or travel or simply for yourself, Babbel will be incredibly useful. If you remain unconvinced, Babbel offers a 20-day money-back guarantee. If you want to try out Babbel for yourself, you can get 60% off your subscription by using the link in my description below. In film and TV, you are on rails, narratively speaking. Unless you're watching Bandersnatch, any film or TV show has an ending clear cut before you start watching. So for a character like Batman, his choices have already been made, and the joy comes from getting to experience his journey, the pressures he faces, and his strength in overcoming them. But in a video game, there is that all-important ludic element. You are not watching the Batman, you are the Batman. The Arkham series is something I've gushed about on the channel before, noting that Rocksteady's game-changing superhero series is a near-perfect Batman simulator. The combat, which sees you ping from foe to foe, unleashing a flurry of martial arts combos, makes you feel like you're in the middle of that warehouse scene from BVS. Mwah! The first time I saw a demo for Arkham Asylum and I saw the myriad of different options to take down foes, I was blown away. This was peak Nolan Batman era, and being able to switch between grapple guns and explosives and batarangs to produce hundreds of different outcomes was electric. Not to mention the animated series voice work and the comic book inspired aesthetic. I still think it's crazy that we were blessed with the Arkham series. There was and still is nothing quite like it. Asylum was and still is the perfect Batman game, and I say that knowing that City and Night are also about as close to perfect as you can get. Asking me to choose between them would be like asking me to choose a favourite child. It's City. The Arkham games were incredible, and I wouldn't change a thing about them, other than maybe having a few physical boss fights in Arkham Knight over everything being a Batmobile boss. However, in terms of capturing the morality of Batman, you are on about as set a path as any movie or show. The interactivity tackles the how of Batman, but never the why. That is absolutely fine, I never expected them to do it any other way, and the stories in every single one are really engrossing. We're talking about a series that started in 2009 on the PS3 and the 360 here. Wow, has it really been 14 years? Smash Mouth really were right, the years don't stop coming. But a new Batman game is inevitable, and who knows if it would even be made by Rocksteady. They're busy with other corners of the DC universe, for better or for worse, and other studios have already attempted to move on with titles like the lackluster Gotham Knights. I think Gotham Knights didn't work because not only did it strip away the excellent combat and mood of Arkham, it didn't really provide anything substantially new in terms of an interactive Gotham experience. The morality is something we've never tackled. In a video game, you control the story to a certain extent. Of course, it's impossible to program every single choice so that the player can splinter off in any direction they want, but games like Mass Effect allow you to make some pretty significant choices. If Commander Shepard had a strict moral code for one player, that code could be completely unrecognisable to another. I don't think this is necessarily about choice, but rather a well-crafted illusion of it. This hypothetical game should still be pushing you to be the Batman, to stick to the no-kill rule. It should just allow you to break it if you really want to, if you want to ruin the experience of being Batman.
Sorry to disappoint.
Why? Well, a game series I think did this really well was Infamous. In both games you could walk around the open world and commit murder if you didn't want to be the superhero on the box art. I remember the games receiving criticism for their dark paths not feeling as fleshed out as their good ones. The fact that the sequel continues on from the good ending of Infamous 1 was thought to squash the notion that the dark path was worth its salt in the original game. After all, the good ending is canon in both iterations. But that was exactly the point. It wasn't a game that was trying to make you a murderer, it was trying to make you a superhero. I recall when the first Infamous game came out, one of the developers explained that even though they were making Infamous with the canon heroic story in mind, the bad choices were there so that the good things you were doing were all driven by you. The choice to do good only matters when the bad path is available. If there is no bad path available, what meaning is there to your actions? You haven't done anything good, merely what you've been told to do. In a Spider-Man game, you're told to save civilians. You must do this to pass go or you will fail the level. But in Infamous, the mere fact that you can do all the awful, nonsensical, out-of-character things makes it feel like the choice was always in your hands. If you don't save the civilians, they will die, but the game will continue on. You would have to live with the consequences of failing to be the hero. Even though the evil path isn't as fleshed out to the same degree, its importance in being an option is paramount to the very point of the game. So imagine if you were in an interactive, gamified version of The Dark Knight, for example, and you felt the same pressures Batman does to kill the Joker. He's tearing the city apart, threatening Dent, the one man who could fix the city, and every day you don't, people will die. I'm a man of my word. It would certainly make your experience of the game 10 times easier if you could just finish the Joker once and for all, but then you wouldn't feel like Batman now, would you? So the game actively wants you to do the right thing to make the right choice.
But that's the point of Batman. He can make the choice that no one else can make.
After Rachel dies, you have the option to seek revenge on the Joker and every miserable criminal in Gotham, or you could be the person she wanted you to be. One choice would mean you aren't truly Batman, thus giving the right choice real weight. Imagine you had a boss battle against Superman, and you were left with the choice to kill Superman. Martha references aside, it feels very Batman for him to relent giving into the darkness. But what if you didn't? If you know you can do the bad things in this Batman game, but you still adhere to his code, then wouldn't that make you feel more like the Dark Knight than ever before? To actively have the same choice Batman does, to use his gadgets with lethal impunity, to run people over in the Batmobile, to deliver the killing blow, and then to stop yourself from giving in, that would be about as close to being Batman as you could get without $1 billion and some serious lats. In Arkham Knight, you can run people over in the Batmobile, and it just shocks them away. Whilst this does maintain the illusion of Batman's no-kill rule, in actuality you just end up charging down the streets of Gotham with no care for who you might hit like a maniac. It doesn't matter anyway. But what if you did have to consider the lives of not only Gotham's citizens, but the criminals too? Isn't that the point of Batman? In the finale to The Dark Knight, that no-kill rule is exemplified by the citizens of Gotham. We witness a boat of civilians and a boat full of convicts, both given the opportunity to blow up the other to Kingdom Come in order to survive, and they make the choice to spare everyone. They make the right choice, even though Batman never interacts with them, his mantra has clearly rippled throughout the hearts of the city. It's easier to push the button and ensure your survival, but it's harder to trust that other people will do something good alongside you.
What were you trying to prove? That deep down, everyone's as ugly as you.
The game developers should be like the Joker, pushing Batman to the absolute limit, trying to coax him into making the easy choice at every turn. And by the end of the game, if you resist, if you manage to continuously make the right choices, then you'll have the same emotional catharsis as the movies, except it will be directly your doing.
Who's in control?
Won't that make you feel like Batman more than ever before? An added dimensionality on top of the excellent combat, driving, traversal and detective work we're used to. I feel like if we ever get a spiritual successor to the God tier Arkham games, some kind of morality would take that to the next level. Web of Shadows, as awesome as it is, with some of the best superhero combat out there, really only topped by Arkham itself, tries and fails spectacularly to deliver a morality system. Sure, you can make the bad choice and split Wolverine in two, but the result is edgelord spectacle, not an examination of why Spider-Man refuses to do that in the first place.
I'll kill you for this.
It's not enough to just have a couple of scripted branches. You should be able to swing around in real time and say, I don't want to pull my punches as Spider-Man, if you really, really want to. All these superhero games should allow you to go on megalomaniacal killing sprees, yet at the same time weaving narratives that exemplify why those heroes don't do that. Storytelling in gaming continues to get more and more complex, and so I think it's time superhero games thought more about the point of these superheroes rather than just committing to a live service experience where half the characters feel interchangeable. Their codes are what make them different. Iron Man is happy to blow people away, but Batman isn't. So if both have a video game experience, the choices you're encouraged to make should reflect that. Imagine if your skills as Batman would allow you to become the new Kingpin of Gotham. Your gadgets and fighting prowess allow you to take the city over like a gangster game. You're supposed to stop the villains, but what if you instead sought to replace them? So yes, Batman should be able to kill when the audience has the power to decide. I don't want to see Batman mercilessly shooting people to death as is more common in the Keaton and Affleck iterations. If I'm watching a movie, I want to be shown why Batman is the way he is. If the Batman stories in most media wrestle with the no-kill rule, and video games are an interactive medium, and this is what sets them apart from films, comics and TV, then shouldn't that no-kill rule be an integral choice to the very makeup of the experience? Just because you get given control of the Batman and you're wearing the cape and driving the cars and playing with the toys, that doesn't make you Batman. You're only an affectation of Batman if you don't also actively exercise his code.
You gotta be kidding me.
No guns, no killing.
You should 100% absolutely be incentivized to be the Batman in the game, but the choice to do the not Batman things should always remain. We should be able to take the evil as far as possible with the gadgets and combat techniques available. That doesn't mean that players will. A staggering amount of Infamous 2 players picked the heroic route. Having the choice built in didn't deter you from being a good guy if you wanted to get the superhero experience. The fact that Sucker Punch took the time to craft the evil path, but most players didn't do it, says to me that the mission objective of making you a true superhero was achieved. I'd love to see a true Infamous 3 one day. Man, the late 2000s to early 2010s were a gaming golden age. I'm not saying you try to imagine these ideas implemented into the Arkham games as is. There's way too many people on the streets for you to avoid everyone without it falling into tedium, but when inevitably a new Batman game is created from the ground up, that's key, it would be amazing to create a Gotham that makes it challenging, but not impossible, to be the legitimate Batman. What do you think? Would you like to try an expansion of Infamous's principles? Would you indulge in being an evil Batman for the hell of it? Or would it be infinitely more satisfying to make the hardest choices like the Caped Crusader himself? Let me know in the comments below. A big thank you to my full fat tier patron, Dr. Chike. If you'd like to donate money to my Patreon, you can find me at patreon.com/fullfatvideos. If you'd like to find me on Instagram, you can find me at full_fat_videos. And if you'd like to find me on Twitter, you can find me at fullfatvideos.